Hello! Today's Pokemon review is on Machamp! This is the battle feature figure made by JAZWARES, aka Wicked Cool Toys, and this is what it does. So battle feature figures are around $9.99 and they all are roughly around 4.5 inches in height. Now on the back we see the other figures released alongside the Machamp, and I've done a review or detailed reviews on every one of these figures, so go and check those reviews out. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my Pokemon toy reviews, then hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload. Let's have a more detailed look at Machamp with a 360-degree spin. Six points of articulation in this figure. 2 of them are in each of the legs. Now these are on ball joints, but the actual joints are very loose. I would have expected the joints to be a lot tighter than this because the figure is really top heavy, so in order to hold its weight I would have expected the joints to be a lot tighter. Now you get all the range of movement as you would expect in a ball joint, but with them being so loose it's impossible to get this figure to sit down like most of the other figures can. Like I said, because it's really top heavy, when you try to get it to sit down it just topples over. Other than that, the other points of articulation are in the arms, so you can see the bottom arms here, they move side to side, and then you got the top arms that move up and down. Now obviously they're controlled by the battle feature figure, which is the buttons on the back. So the bottom button controls the bottom arms and the top button controls the top arms. Now the head unfortunately does not have any articulation, and nor does the body. I would have really preferred if they put some more points of articulation in the legs, such as in the knees and the ankles. I think it would have made the figure a lot more sturdier. But he does hold his weight and can stand pretty easily. Paintwork wise, it's a pretty decent paint job on this figure. You can see the eyes, the mouth and the hair are all painted in on the face. You can also see paintwork around the belt. Now the belt isn't the cleanest of paint jobs, but you really have to get up close if you want to see the imperfections. Some of the dots aren't perfectly painted in. So sculpt wise, I really got to talk about this mouth. Now normally when you see Machamp, he's always got an open mouth expression, but for some reason they've decided to go with a closed mouth expression on this figure. Now even in pictures where Machamp has a closed mouth, you can see the bottom half is a lot thinner in the pictures than on this figure, so it really does look weird with this closed mouth expression. If we look at other figures such as the Moncall or the DX gallery figure or the Tommy figure, you can see they all have open mouth expressions. So really weird choice by JAZWARES here to go with a closed mouth expression, and I particularly do not like it. Other than that, the rest of the sculpt is pretty decent. So you can see I really like the way they've sculpted in the 3 pieces for the hair. And then if we move on to the back, you can see these 2 buttons that incorporate the battle feature. Now, I'm not a big fan of the battle features on any of the figures, but I always look at whether the battle feature is taking away from the figure itself. So in this case, having 2 big massive buttons on the Machamp's back, they're only there because of the battle feature, and if the battle feature wasn't on this figure, they wouldn't exist. So they definitely do take away from the figure. I know it's on the back and therefore hidden away, but I would have still preferred them not to be there. So as I've said before, the bottom of these buttons move the bottom 2 arms and the top button moves the top 2 arms, but we'll go into much more detail on that later. The rest of the body of sculpt is pretty decent. I like how they've sculpted in the belt, and the arms are all muscular as you'd expect on a Machamp figure. If we look underneath the feet, we get the S4 logo showing this is a Series 4 JAZWARES figure. So the way the battle feature works is the bottom two arms here are going to move once you press the button on the back. So the bottom button causes the bottom two arms to move like this. And as you can see, not a lot of range in movement here, so definitely not worth putting in this feature for such a weak movement. So you can see the same thing happens with the top arms, and there's even less range of movement with the top one. So again, not really worth putting in. I mean, I think you could have achieved the same movement if you just had articulation in the arms, so you wouldn't need the buttons at all. So really useless to put those buttons in my opinion. So whenever I review a battle feature figure, I always like to test out the battle feature against the Ash figure just to see how effective the battle feature is. Apologies that the camera is not in focus in these shots, but you can see that the battle feature does work. One thing to note though is you've got to get really up and close to the figure you're trying to hit, because there's such a low range of movement in the battle feature. You have to get as close as you can before it actually works. But you can see it is effective and it does knock the Ash down pretty easily. One cool thing I did notice about this figure is he's able to hold the Ash figure in its top two arms. Now, I wasn't expecting it to be able to stand with Ash on its arms because of how loose the joints are in its legs, but you can see here it can hold up Ash pretty easily. And if I was to display this figure, I think I would display it with an Ash or a similar figure rather than without any figures. Now, if you're a wrestling fan, this does remind me of Lex Luger's finisher, which is, I think, called the Torture Rack. So it's kind of apt that the Machamp, which is based off of bodybuilders or wrestlers, can do the Torture Rack move. And like I said, if I'm displaying this figure, I'm going to display him like this rather than without anything on its arms. Height wise, the max you get in battle feature figures is 4.5 inches. So to the top of the arms, Machamp is 4.5 inches, which is about 11.5 centimeters. But if you look to the top of the head, he's only about 4 inches, which is about 10 centimeters. And then if we look at him from the side, from one arm to the end of the other arm, he's again about 4 inches, which is about 10 centimeters. And then from a side on view, he's about 1.5 inches, which is about 4 centimeters. So that was my review of the Machamp figure made by JAZWARES. Overall, it's a decent Machamp figure. The two things I didn't like were the closed mouth expression and the two buttons on the back for the battle feature. Other than that, I think it's a pretty decent sculpt of Machamp, and I especially like the colours that they've used. So I would have really liked to have done a direct comparison of this JAZWARES Machamp alongside the Tommy Machamp figure, but unfortunately I do not own the Tommy version, so I can only go by what I've seen in other reviews, and from them I think the Tommy version is a lot better than the JAZWARES version. The only thing I like about the JAZWARES is the colour palette that they've used. This grey colour palette is more accurate to the Machamp character, and I think the Tommy one looks quite green. But overall, I think the Tommy figure is definitely better. But now the Tommy figure is a lot more harder to get hold of because you can't just buy it from the shops, and it's a lot more expensive. So for those reasons, this JAZWARES Machamp is a decent alternative. So Machamp came out alongside the Garchomp figure, which I have done a detailed review on already, so I will link that review above. Go and check that out. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my other Pokemon toy reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload. If you liked that video, hit the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more Pokemon toy reviews, hit that subscribe button now. Now go back and watch all my other videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye.